We are back at Half Price Hearing Aids, and I am here with Charles Church, who's going to be talking to us a little bit about maybe some of the warning signs that someone in your family may be suffering from hearing loss. So first off, Charles, thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. I really appreciate you coming out here.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that. We're, in a holiday season and people get together with their families. So what are some things maybe they need to watch out for that their loved one may be suffering from some hearing loss?
There's the beginning signs that, if there's any sort of media going, they've got it up too loud. If there's a lot of asking to repeat, but the ones that are really troubling is the elderly person or even anybody with hearing loss that's starting to become isolated and alienated because of it. And the signs of that are, that someone goes up and talks to them and they get it wrong, what they said, and they try to communicate. And then pretty soon the person just says, well, okay, that sounds good. We'll talk to you later. And they walk off, and pretty soon the person's there by himself and they're not talking to anybody and nobody's talking to them because people have just kind of given up on communicating with them. And the sad thing is when they give up on communicating with others and they just kind of sit there like the ghost in the room. Now, it's easy to see what that would be like in a certain way, but if people could stop and think about, well, what if that was you that nobody was talking to, and you just went to functions and everybody just sat there and talked among themselves and you were like a non-entity. It's extremely, not to be overly, emotional about it, but it's extremely difficult and painful, just, very painful for someone to go through that. And that is something that's, more obvious. The beginning signs of that are, of course, like I said, just, having to repeat a lot and not communicating well and these sorts of difficulties.
Yeah, so what should people do if they start recognizing some of those signs in their loved ones?
They may not be getting hearing aids because a lot of times people just kind of rationalize, I'm all right, I don't need hearing aids. Sometimes it's financial, sometimes they're not getting them because they don't have a ride. When you're noticing that in somebody and they're thinking that it's not a problem, you want to be gentle. And understanding, we might go through the same thing that people go through, this rationalization. I'm okay, and eventually they just get sick of it and come down here and get hearing aids. But in the meantime, maybe they could be gently and kindly encouraged, to at least try and experience what hearing aids can do for them. I've had people, a thing comes to mind. This guy, I tested him for hearing loss, and he had a pretty significant hearing loss. And the whole time he's going, oh, I don't have a hearing loss, I'm just fine. And I said, okay, I just programmed the hearing aids and put them in his ear. And literally within 30 seconds, he is going, I cannot believe this. I am hearing it. For 30 seconds earlier, he was telling me he didn't have a hearing loss. So when someone experiences it, it can be extremely convincing. And if they can just get in somewhere and have someone help them, and that can be very decisive in motivating them to get the help that they need.
Yeah, so if somebody is wanting to bring their loved one in, how can they get in contact with you guys?
Well, we are at halfpricehearingaids.com. We're here in the office at 1350 East Sunshine Street. There's always the phone, of course, and that's 417-823-0484. And we always offer free testing to anybody that comes in here, even if they're not, immediately considering getting hearing aids. Just no problem. We're happy to do that.
All right. Sounds great. Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, ma'am.